Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight for tonight's business banking webinar. My name is Deanna Blaze, Vice President of Business Banking at Valley Strong Credit Union, and our guest speaker this evening is Julie Brander with SCORE. Before we get started tonight, let's just go over a few housekeeping items that I'd like to review with you as regards to Zoom. I want to let you know that we do plan to answer questions from the audience throughout our session this evening. And in order to submit a question, just look at the bottom feature down below in the Q&A section, and that's where you'll be able to submit your questions throughout the presentation this evening. We will answer as many questions as we can live tonight, and if you feel your question has not been answered through the presentation, you'll have an opportunity to fill out the survey after the webinar, and you'll be able to supply your question and your contact information. Someone will reach out to you directly to answer your questions, and some of your questions may be more appropriate to be discussed on a one-on-one appointment, and if that is the case, our business banking team will reach out to you to set up that appropriate appointment, either with our team or with Julie Brander directly. So we have a lot of information to cover tonight, so let's get started by introducing our speaker. Julie Brander is a highly regarded business expert and advocate for entrepreneurial businesses. She has her MBA and has been an adjunct professor of business with 20 years of experience starting her own jewelry manufacturing company, wholesale, retail, and nonprofit businesses. Her common sense approach has helped thousands of businesses realize that owning a business is really feasible. She will inspire and empower you with easy to understand exercises this evening that will help you plan and build your business. Julie has been a SCORE mentor since 1997 and is currently the chapter co-chair of the Las Vegas chapter. Julie can address relevant issues in business and offer powerful practical guidance that is applicable immediately with the goal of how to effectively start and run a business in today's tough economy. So without further ado, let's turn it over to Julie.
Thank you, Deanna, so much for that fabulous introduction. I want everyone to know that SCORE is an all-volunteer nonprofit organization founded in 1964. There's over 300 chapters across the United States, with over 11,000 volunteer mentors that are either active in business or retired executives, and they share their business expertise with you. So no matter what business you're in, there is a mentor that you can get one-on-one, free, confidential business mentoring, either by phone, by email, or Zoom. We are still socially distancing, so we're not doing face-to-face. We also offer educational workshops on every topic free of charge on Zoom. There are live webinars, podcasts, articles on business tips and strategies. So you can go to the nationalscore.org website and get all the information that you need. Okay, let me see here. Most people start a business for a variety of reasons. One reason is to be your own boss. No one's telling you what to do. Another reason is to pursue your own ideas. You work in a business and you see there's a better way to do it, and so you decide to start your own business. And there's a lot of flexibility when running a business. And businesses are solutions to problems. So if you can recognize a problem and come up with a solution, that could be a feasible business idea. And of course, you realize all the financial rewards. You get to decide how the money's spent and keep all the profits. And so there are financial rewards when you own your own business. And another motivation when you start a business, it's something you love to do. And it's really the thrill of building a business and achieving success. And the money comes when you have a successful business. So everyone wants to be financially independent, and most of us share the same frustration. When you're working for somebody else and you share ideas, They're never valued, or they take your ideas and make millions of dollars on your idea. So the objective of this workshop is to give you practical knowledge that you can use right now on the basics of how to start a business with simple, easy to understand steps. And in these tough economic times, owning a business is your only job security. As we all know, the unemployment rate is the highest it's ever been. And you get to do what you love. So, are you ready? The questions you need to think about are, what are your strengths and weaknesses? What type of a business would you love to work in? And of course, you have to do some research and understand the industry. So what you'll do is create your vision by studying the market, looking at where the gaps may be. So you remember taxi cabs. Guess what business came? Lyft and Uber, because there was a gap in the market. And so Lyft and Uber became very successful. And also determine what makes your business unique. And you need to think outside the box. Don't do what everybody else is doing. Do something different. Now, there are a few characteristics of an entrepreneur. Most entrepreneurs are leaders. They're self-confident. They're great communicators. They're persistent, and they don't mind taking a risk. And they have sometimes kind of crazy, new and different ideas. And they see problems as challenges because they want to solve those problems. And many don't follow authority. They're not good at following the rules. Some just aren't good employees, but they have a strong drive to achieve, and they really like to be in control, and they like to make all the decisions. So if you have any of these characteristics, you may be great at starting a business. But when you're self-employed, you need to make all the decisions and you have all the responsibilities. If there's no sales, you can't take a paycheck. And you have to take the initiative and really know what has to be done. And you have to be reliable and on time. And of course, being creative and getting what you need. That means asking for things, because that will help you in your business. And make sure that customers are happy and continue to come back. And also, you know, you need to work long hours, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, whatever it takes to get that business up and running. But if you love what you do, it never feels like work. That's the best part about owning a business. And you need to be a little weird, because you don't want to be like everybody else. So if you're different and people remember you, it's not a bad thing. So the very first steps would be to brainstorm ideas with your friends and family and really think about what your interests are. What are your talents? What do you think you can do? And know that there are so many ways to start a business. You can buy an existing business, you can buy a franchise, you can start from scratch. You can start a home-based business. There's so many ways to start, but you need to observe the trends and study what people want in the world right now. And when you go into other people's businesses or see how they do business, you should identify what you like about the business and what you don't like about the business. And then, of course, apply that to what is going to make your business better or unique in some way. And in order to identify an opportunity, you really have to study what people need now to make our lives easier. And who is your target market? And know that social forces also affect the type of business. Like in certain parts of the country, if you're a 24-hour town like Las Vegas, some stores are open 24 hours a day. If you have an aging population, you might consider home health care because you're dealing with elderly population. And of course, healthcare and fitness are a big, big market, as well as just knowing that what families are. You know, family influences your business. Is your You know, do you have parents living with you? Is the mother and the father, are they both working? How many kids do you have? And also know that during this time, will people travel to your business? Can you do curbside pickup? Can you deliver? Will you have an online presence? And is there a niche? Is there something very specific that you can do that's new and different that would inspire people to do business with you? So your challenge is to turn these ideas into reality. And think about who your customer is. So the groupings of customers that you should know: baby boomers are 76 million people. They're the highest consumers of traditional media, TV, radio, magazines, and 90% are on Facebook. So if that's your customer, think about how you're going to market to that group. The Gen X group is heavy TV and Facebook users, and they have the highest debt while raising children and planning for retirement. So that gives you a little peek into maybe their buying strategies. Now, millennials are cutting their cable costs by streaming. They're on Netflix. They have massive student debt, which causes a delay in major purchases. But in weddings, they have multiple social media accounts. They're also later, they get married later, they buy homes later, they're waiting because they're really focusing on their career. And the Gen Z is 25% of the population, and they are really heavy users of mobile devices, the internet, and they are able to access it at a young age. My 9 and 10-year-old grandchildren know my cell phone better than I do, and they don't even have a cell phone. So they know how to find everything. And there are ways to find out what type of business is most popular. So this is a website, Small Biz Trends, and it basically says that there are parents that spend $1 trillion annually on babies. Instagram is the most used social media by the Gen Z. All websites have to be mobile friendly. And do you know the highest usage of online shopping is from 9 to midnight and on Sundays? And the top online buyers are parents with kids under 18 years old, and they actually go online and buy every single week. So the mobile shopping experience is growing, and it's never going away anytime soon. And we do know that free shipping will allow people, they will buy much, much more with free shipping than having to pay for shipping. Another great website is justbusiness.com, and that tells you what the hottest business trends are. So if you're thinking about starting a business, think about toys and games, because kids buy toys, and it's a $63 billion business. Fashion and costume jewelry is a $52 billion business. And the luxury fashion market is growing. The online auto aftermarket accessories is a huge trend, as well as weddings that's a $76 billion industry. And today the average bride is 33 years old, and 80% of all weddings are planned online. And today, as you know, weddings are being done on Zoom as well. So Pinterest is also growing for inspirational ideas. So this gives you just a little idea of all the different trends that there are available. And of course, you can do a Google search and you can find out about any industry that you're thinking about. Now you have to do market research, and you have to think about what makes our lives easier, what the day-to-day observations of things. Now, once you find a problem, do you know that there's 5 different solutions or more? So again, brainstorming, focus groups, apps that you use every single day. For market research, the best website is ibisworld.com. So when I was teaching entrepreneurship, this is where my students went when they were doing their business plans. And every problem we face in life has so many solutions, and that's what businesses are. their solutions to problems. So once you find the type of industry, you want to learn everything about the business. Most people are working in a business, they understand the business, and then they decide to go off on their own. So they understand what the industry is, and it's very important that you don't buy into a declining industry like Blockbuster Video. You certainly would not want to buy that franchise because we know that's out of business, and that was dying the minute people started going to Netflix. And you need to read trade magazines, and you need to do online courses and learn about the industry and observe the business practices of others. So get training, listen to TED Talks, go to YouTube, podcast, just do your research and become an expert in any business, any industry that you decide to go into. And you need to know what the competition is doing. The direct competition is someone doing exactly what you're doing. Indirect competition would be a bakery that specializes in French pastries would be another bakery specializing in French pastries. But what about when you go into the supermarket and they have a bakery? The supermarket would be your indirect competition. It's another type of business that sells what your business. It may not be their specialty, but you can get it somewhere else. And you need to really look at what they do well and what they don't do well. And you should write down 3 or 4 of your competitors and identify how long have they been in business? What's their reputation? What do they sell? What's their price? And can you compete? Work for the competition. Learn everything you can about the competition. In fact, if you want to do market research, call the competition as if you were a customer and find out, are they returning your call immediately? Or do they show up on time? Or do they, give you a price over the phone? Or how easy or hard are they to deal with? So if you do business with the competition, you can really determine how you can be better than they are. And always remember that you're in business to make a profit. So sometimes the competition is a very high price, but you never want to price your services or your products too low. And then you want to test your ideas. So you can actually look at Costco. They allow customers to sample products, and Costco actually puts products on their shelves based on the samples that people are able to try. And if people love the samples and buy the samples, they will, carry that product. So test your products with any store that you could do samples, and even services. You want to test your services with potential customers, and you want to get feedback. You want to get evaluations. And of course, you want to engage on social media. The other thing you can do is put a focus group together. Get a lot of different people, different ages, different races, different, men and women and kids, and see how they feel about your product. And also identify what is your competitive advantage, what is going to make you better, and how are you going to make enough profit to stay in business and to cover all of your overhead expenses and make a nice wage. And we all know that without customers, there's no business. So you need to know everything you can about your customers. You need to know when they are to buy your products. So the jewelry business was very seasonal. Christmas was most of our business, but then in January, we had no business. So we had to figure out how we were going to cover those costs during those slow months. So you always want to have a reserve. February again was Valentine's Day, then Mother's Day. So there were certain times of the year that people bought a lot of jewelry and other times not so much. And again, social forces, when and what they work in, will affect when customers are buying. And know, how will your customers be able to reach you? How easy are you going to be found online? Or if you're in a storefront, is it easy on and off the highway? Is it handicapped accessible? Is it easy to find, or is it buried somewhere? So make sure it's easy for people to do business with you. And again, determine how you're going to compete. Are you more convenient? Are you a higher quality? You know, what do you do that others don't do? So you want to build your business around your customers' needs. And that means really asking them, what do you need? And they'll tell you. And how are you going to inspire customer loyalty? So in my retail stores, every time you spent $100, I gave you a $10 gift certificate. And guess what? There was not one thing in the whole store that was $10. But when they came back, they needed to buy, and they bought more than $10 worth, and that kept them coming back. Just like the Starbucks stars, you know, you get a free coffee. So it's a good idea to encourage people to continue doing business with you. Now, in a service business also, you want to make sure that your customers make their next appointment. Like our cars have to be serviced every 3 months, and we know when we have to take our car in. When we get our hair done, we know that in 6 weeks, we need to make another appointment. And so make sure that those appointments are made. That keeps the customers coming back. So there's a number of ways to own a business. You can buy an existing business. Now, I have known people that have worked in businesses, and when the owners wanted to retire, they were able to buy in over a number of years, and that's how they were able to get into business. You can also buy a franchise, and a franchise is an absolute proven business model that is successful, and 87% of all franchises are successful, and it's easier to get a business loan when buying a franchise because it is a proven business model. But when you buy a franchise, make sure there's a brand that people know, because I've had people buy a franchise that was a no-name brand, and they were not able to stay in business because no one knew the brand. If they don't know the brand, start from scratch. You know, take whatever it is and start that business. Know exactly what your startup costs are going to be. The other way to get into business is a partnership. You do the sales and the other person maybe does something else. You can co-brand. Co-branding is where you perhaps, well, you see Baskin and Robbins and Dunkin' Donuts. They co-branded. They have both businesses under one roof. You can also do it with a hairdresser and a nail salon. You share all the overhead expenses, and you're doing 2 separate businesses under one roof. Now, there are product distribution businesses. If you are selling a product, you need to purchase what you know will sell at a price that the customer will pay, resulting in a profit. So when you're going to a manufacturer, there are minimum orders. For our business, it was a $1,000 minimum order. Now, what you can do is you can say, I need a sample order, because you've got what you can tell a story and tell them you plan to buy a lot more, but you need a sample order, and then you can do a smaller amount. Also, when you are in business, you can consider selling other people's product by getting their product on consignment. No cash comes out of your pocket unless you sell it. And when you sell it, you give the consignor the money. You can also get credit terms from manufacturers. So when you buy product, you have 30 days to sell it. And you can also barter. Be careful with barter, because when you barter, you don't have your cash flow. So that would be product for services. So if there is somebody that can give you some services, you could give them some product. And always know that when you are distributing or buying product, you need at least 3 vendors. And you know that all of your costs have to include overhead, shipping, labor, and you need to distribute your product at least 5 different ways. So when we were importing, we were manufacturing, we had our customers that we were selling our product to, But we also had people that were doing home parties. We were doing corporate sales where we would go to hospitals, set up our jewelry store in the lobby, and give the women's auxiliary 20% of the sale. We sold online, we did mail order. And so we had mass distribution by being able to distribute our products so many different ways. Now, a service business is a little trickier because there are only so many hours in the day. That means you have your labor, your supplies, and your overhead. So if you are a roofer, you're going to have your vehicle cost, your gas, your travel time, your insurance, and it's labor, which is cost per hour or per job. And then you have the cost of the supplies that you need in order to put that roof on. And your overhead costs are going to include your phone, your office, internet, insurance, the background checks, the licenses, the employees. And you have to think about how many billable hours you can do in a day. And that's limited when you're a service business. So a hairdresser can work 10 hours a day. And how much, that's the maximum of 10 hours, how much can you make? So think about the maximum work you can do per day, and that is the income that you can get in one day. And if you have multiple employees, you can make more. And of course, a service business, you can also sell some products. And so you can offer services and sell some products. Now, there are online business options. As you know, e-commerce, the electronic commerce, buying and selling of goods and services using the internet. And that would be having a Shopify store. You can also find a manufacturer and do drop shipping, which is supply chain management. There's no inventory on your part. All you do is sell the product and the manufacturer ships directly to the customer. You can also sell goods on Amazon, eBay, Etsy, Pinterest, Shopify, and you can sell your services if you are like a website designer on Upwork, Fiverr, or Freelancer. You can sell bookkeeping services, writing, anything that you can do. And if you have a website, you can offer ads. Advertisers can put their ads on your website. And you should also consider a Facebook business page, selling on Instagram. There are so many ways to sell online these days. Now, if you're a solopreneur, which many people I know are, there's one client that I have who literally sent out 75 resumes and he got 75 rejection letters. And so what did he do? He decided to work on his own. He realized he's not employable. He has no employees. And what he does is he hires others as needed to help him work on projects. So he outsources and pays them by the hour, pays them by the project. And again, that's using virtual assistants or subcontractors. And you can find them also on Upwork, Woodbows, Remote Coworker. So with the power of the internet, you can have a very successful business virtually, and more people now than ever are starting businesses, and they're doing it online due to the circumstances. Now let's talk about choosing a business name. When you choose a name, it must be easy to say, easy to spell, and easy to remember. And it must convey the benefits you offer. So you might want to have a memorable tagline or a logo that reflects the business, and make sure that name is available as a .com. If you're a nonprofit, it should be a .org. And make sure you have a business Facebook page, Instagram, Pinterest, and you may even want to consider developing an app for your business. So this is an example. I design and develop experiences that make people's lives simple. That's like your mission, vision, and tagline. That's what you're saying you can do for your customers. And the other thing is you want to engage with customers and leave a lasting impression. So you might want to come up with your elevator pitch or a 30-second kind of an introduction where you can introduce yourself and your company, what you offer and what the benefits are to the customer. You want to inspire people to do business with you. And if they can't do business with you, you want them to refer other people they may know to do business with you. So you want to keep it short, clever, clear, and always think about why the customer needs your services. It's all about the customer when you're in business. So virtual networking is the new norm today. And we are doing so many Zooms today. You want to make sure that when you're on a Zoom call, your background reflects your business. I was on a Zoom call the other day. It was a chamber, and someone literally was in the middle of their bedroom. The bed was unmade and there was clutter all over the floor. And I thought to myself, I would never want to do business with someone that's that unorganized. So think about your image even on Zoom. And you want to connect on social media at least 5 to 10 times a week. And consider doing videos, show pictures, share tips about your business. And when you're doing these networking events, the Chamber offers speed networking. BNI is a business networking international where you have a chance to network. And there's meetup groups as well. And you want to consider as a business connecting with people on LinkedIn. So once you meet somebody that you think you might want to have another conversation with, you want to schedule a time to connect with them. You want to remember where and when you met them, and you want to keep in touch. You can even create your own Zoom networking events with people that you know and have everybody bring a friend. And so you can grow your network of people. We're in a very strange time and it's limiting in what we can do. And so we're figuring out this new normal, and we do know that virtual is the way until further notice. So we know that social media is absolutely imperative with Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And with your website, you want to be able to develop your brand. You might even want to consider doing some podcasts, some YouTube. The goal is to educate, offer news and tips to your customers. So when you're on social media, a third of it should be sales, a third of it can be news, and a third of it can be tips. And videos are really important. You know, the market is just flooded on social media. So what can you do to stand out? Go to TikTok and you can see how people are standing out. So working away from home in satellite offices, sharing space and co-working space is also another option. Some people can't really focus at home, and so they have to get out of their house. And there's other ways to do that. So you can be in touch and you can launch your business from anywhere. And that's how business is today. And of course, the digital marketing apps, you want to make sure that your business is on Yelp and you get great reviews. You want to have a Google My Business. You want to make sure that people can find you on City Search, Foursquare, TripAdvisor. And if you offer promotions on Groupon or Living Social, make sure you can cover your cost. I actually had a client who was a esthetician, and she was offering eyelash extensions, and Groupon takes 50%. So what she realized was she sold too many and she wasn't covering her costs. And that doesn't make sense. So she really went out of business because of that. So be very cautious when you offer promotions. And again, all the different social media sites you should have some presence in. And again, selling online on Amazon, Shopify, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Shopzilla, Price Grabber. There are so many online sites that you can sell your products. And you want to gather your email lists because you want to do email marketing. You want to stay in touch with your customers and educate them and offer promotions and just stay in touch so they remember you when they need your services or products. And again, think about your apps and websites. You know, there are so many apps available, you know, Venmo if you want to pay someone, Honey, Ibotta, Ebates, and so many more. So be aware of what's available. And what do you use? You know, I use Ebates, Ibotta. I use a lot of apps that give me money back. So if you feel like making dreams come true, you might consider starting a business. An idea is nothing unless it's in writing. So all of your ideas need to be written down, and you have to think about what is the value of your products or services? How are you going to sell them? Who are your customers? How much are they going to pay? Are you a service business with billable hours? Will you manufacture or purchase products? And where are you going to get the financial resources? How much do you need to get started? And you need to create a written plan. So I have a very simple business plan, a very shortened one. It would only be 5 to 7 pages that will help you formulate your idea and confirm if the business is feasible. And so the first thing you want to think about is your mission statement and describe what it is that you offer that will benefit and add value to your customers. It's usually 3 or 4 sentences that convey a strong mental image that customers will remember and relate to. So this is a concept statement. And again, it's just for you to help you with a cover page. And you might want to even hand it to either a partner, a banker maybe, just to get your business formulated. So it should be a professional, formal document. And you want to have your executive summary, which is a compelling story that described what motivated you to start this business and what the vision of your business is and why it will succeed. And then you want to describe the features, the benefits, and the value of your products or services, and include the direct and indirect competition and how you're going to compete and what's going to make you unique. You also want to talk about how you are going to sell your product and market your product, and how the customer is going to find you and why they're going to keep coming back to you, and your plan for getting repeat business and growing the business. But the most important thing, and if you were to take this plan or any plan to a bank or a lender, they want to know why your business will succeed. But the other most important thing is the financial piece. And the financial piece is, how much are you putting into the business? How much have you saved to start? And how much do you need? So you need to have it itemized. How much are you going to pay for the product? How much you're going to charge? How much the labor is going to cost? How much your overhead? The income is needed. How much do you need to sell to break even after all expenses? And what is your profit margin? Now, when I was manufacturing millions of pieces, my profit margin was 15%. But in my retail store, I needed a 40% profit margin to cover all my overhead expenses and make a nice living. Now, the inventory, I'll just give you an idea. I sold $1 million of product a year, but I had $3 million worth of inventory. And so you have to know that if you're a product business, the inventory is one of the costs. And again, you know, you have to really sit down with an accountant to go over these things. I'm just sharing a little tidbit. Hope that helps. So you have your startup costs, which are the one-time expenses. That's going to include your licenses, your insurances, and then you have to really think about how much you have to put into the business, because there is no such thing as 100% financing. So how much is needed every single month to cover your costs and your overhead? And how much income can you create with sales in order to cover all of these expenses? And do you have a reserve to cover the slow months? So the formula today, it used to be 3 months of reserve for slow months. But now they're saying with all these unknowns, if you can have a year, that's even better. That may not be feasible, but 3 to 6 months at least to cover your overhead. And you have to have an accountant who can help you with the expenses that maybe you're not realizing. And they can help you also create an easy bookkeeping system. So the reasons to get an accountant, and I mean a CPA, is because they can do your tax returns and they can tell you all about the tax strategies and they can assist you in setting up the books. I prefer QuickBooks Pro, which I've used in my business, and it's very easy to use. And the accountant will help you with a pricing strategy to make sure you have enough profit. They will help you with your projections that you need to bring to the bank if you need a loan. They help with tax planning, your tax returns. Some accountants do payroll, but I prefer a payroll service, and the biggest payroll service that you can get so that you can negotiate. Everything is negotiable. And of course, an accountant will help you with the sales tax and a strategy on how to do that. And you need a lawyer. And a lawyer is someone who can help you form your business entity. They'll review contracts to protect you against any legal interests. They can draft a sales and employment contract. They can advise you on business regulations. They help with labor issues. They review leases and loan documents, and they can protect you against any lawsuits. Now, I never, ever think you should have a lawyer on retainer. I think you need an expert, a specialist. And in my business, I had different lawyers. I had a labor lawyer, I had a contract lawyer, I had a real estate lawyer. I had all different types of lawyers, and I used them as needed. I didn't pay them unless I needed them. So that's my recommendation. Deanna, please tell us about state, county, and city licensing. Deanna, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. So some of the things, if a business resides here in Kern County or in the state of California, what we have on the screen here now is the examples of websites that you will be able to go to when you need to request your business license. Also around the planning services that are available in residing in the county. If you're going to do business in Kern County or other related counties, you may need to file a fictitious business name statement. You'll need to visit other county clerk websites in order to register if you are in other counties, and you'll follow their particular criteria. So if you need assistance in regards to the county clerk, just let us know and we can assist you with that. And depending upon the entity type that you choose to set your business up, you may need to go out to the Secretary of State website in order to register your business there, depending upon if you're a corporation, an LLC, a partnership, etc. You'll be guided there as well. And another great resource for you is also calgold.ca.gov. It's a really great page for businesses that guide you through different types of permitting processes, different licensing, depending upon the type of industry you're going to go into business. And then, of course, you'll need to register for a tax ID with the irs.gov. There's also really great checklists out there for starting a business and applying for an employer identification number. So take a look at those sites. One of the sites that we did not have mentioned there that I think is another great site would also be the Small Business Development Center. Is another great resource similar to SCORE that is really active here in our county that can assist you with volunteer services as well. So I encourage you to look up those services. On the next slide, we go through some additional options that for people that are just getting started, realizing that really about 70% of all businesses that start They do start with personal savings and also may start out asking a family or friend to assist maybe with some initial startup capital that you might be needing. Another way that's really helpful is to be able to utilize possibly your credit card, a line of credit, possibly in tapping some equity on your home. There's another great source that if you haven't heard of it already, considered is crowdfunding. A really great offering out there you might want to check into is Kickstarter.com, Indiegogo.com, or also maybe looking at GoFundMe. Those are great ways to test your product or service out there and to see what type of feedback some possible investors may be willing to invest in your idea. Some other online business resources available to you are also through acon.org, prosper.com, On Deck. You can also search out SBA for Small Business Administration. There are many resources out there for people that are looking to get started. And then of course there's other grant possibilities out there depending upon the type of entity, if you're a nonprofit, or other types of grant associations that you want to look at in applying for grants that may really want to kickstart your idea. On the next slide, in just talking a little bit about Valley Strong and the capabilities that we have to service your small business, we can help you get started initially with your basic operating accounts that you may need or reserve accounts that you may need assistance with. We also have the ability with an entity that is just starting up, if you rely on your initial startup capital with your personal credit rating, and we can take a look at starting, small credit card for assistance. We look at businesses up to $25,000 as a way to help a person get started in their idea. And then of course you build that background experience and then working into growing with your company as you progress in developing your ideas, whether it be products or services. And then of course, Valley Strong on the other side offers some great additional services that we've partnered with. When you're a small startup, sometimes you might need assistance with somebody to assist you with payroll, or somebody to help you with doing credit card, merchant card processing services. Things of that nature, whether it be, being able to collect your receivables via mobile online banking and utilize some of those tools that will really help your business get a really good kickstart. So we're happy to visit with anybody that wants to just learn about how to get the process started. You can also visit our website at valleystrong.com/business-services. You can learn more there or contact us directly for additional services. So now I'll turn it back over to Julie, and she's going to talk further about insurance.
So again, in getting all of your professional partners together, the professionals you need besides a bank, a lawyer, you need an insurance agent. And what they do is they help you with the risks that come about in business. There is property insurance, general liability insurance, workman's comp if you have employees, there's business interruption insurance. So insurance is going to cover the claims that can be brought against you. When you go to an insurance agent, make sure if you need bonding that they can provide bonding for employees and they can provide workers' compensation. Not all insurances offer all the services needed. It's best to go again with one of the bigger insurance companies that can do everything that you need. And of course, you can do business insurance with your personal insurance and bundle it to save money. So the next steps, we have everything kind of laid out. Your very next step is to open a business checking account once you register your business. You never, ever want to commingle your personal expenses with your business expenses. So they must be kept separate. And you want to get business cards. You want to get involved in the community so people can get to know you. You want to join the professional associations. And if you don't join, at least go and be a guest. See if you like the chambers, the business networking, the women's professional organizations. And networking helps you build your reputation in your community. And of course, always create an online presence with your website, social media, being a guest on a podcast. There's so many ways to get known. You want people to know when they see you what you do. And we know business isn't easy. And know that as you go through this process, your gut is always right. You want to build a professional team of advisors and know that there are so many free resources available. The Small Business Development Center, SCORE, there's Women Business Centers, there's so many free resources. And you want to think about networking and working with other small businesses, collaborate with them, support each other, support the local businesses. Business isn't easy. We all need to support each other. And always remember, life is short. Do stuff that matters. And these are my 10 secrets to business success. Always be positive. You know those people that are negative around you? Absolutely. Kick them to the curb. Always think success. Stay positive. Write down your goals. Goals are nothing without action. Continue to learn, get training, learn the industry, improve everything that you're doing. Have a plan, modify it, and reflect, think about, and look at all the different market changes. Manage your time. Time management is probably the most important thing to get things done. And learn to say no. You know, there's so many interruptions during the day. And be understanding and empathetic and have the ability to motivate. No one can run a business by themselves. The more people you can motivate to come along to help you, the more successful you'll be. And you always want to be memorable and leave a lasting impression to set yourself apart. I'll never forget when I was doing a trade show, a customer came on roller skates. You know, I never forgot her. She really left a lasting impression. So what can you do to set yourself apart? And success comes from passion, enthusiasm, persistence, and that motivation to succeed. And always remember, you're in business to make a profit. So your business should always be enjoyable. And when it stops being fun, it's time to get out. Here are some other useful websites. And do what you love and always love what you do. Thank you for joining. I am happy to share my slides. You're welcome to email me directly. Go to our SCORE website and please continue your relationship with Valley Strong Business Banking, and Deanna is here for you to help you. So I'm happy to take questions now if anyone has any.
All right, Julie, we do have a question coming in right now. Can you hear me about the question?
Yes, yes.
All right. How can I be mentored by Julie?
You can email me directly and let me know, and I will be happy to set up a time that we can talk. You know, if you email me a little about your business, I can send you out the little outline that I have, the business plan outline, the simple version, and we can talk. I'm happy to help each and every one of you.
Okay.
And it's all free of charge. I just want you to know our services are free of charge for the length of your business. So please take advantage.
Okay, great. One of the other questions that did populate here is, will this segment be published publicly either through YouTube or another means? And I do want to let the audience know that we did record this session today and it will be made available later via our website. And one of the other questions coming in was about, can we get a copy of this PowerPoint presentation? I do want to remind the group that at the end of this session, you will be getting a survey, and that is the opportunity for you to give us your contact information, and we'll be able to email out the PowerPoint presentation to you. So that will be made available.
Perfect.
All right. We have another question coming in for you, Julie. The question is, how do I trademark my business name, and what should I trademark?
So you
And when
can
should I
go,
trademark my name?
okay, so you can go to uspto.gov, the United States Patent and Trademark Office. So let me just tell you that when you register your name with the Secretary of State in the state of California, there is only one business that is allowed to have that name. So our jewelry store was National Gold and Silver in Woodbridge, Connecticut. But there was a National Gold and Silver in Providence, Rhode Island. So when we went to the major trade shows, they always used to ask which one was it. So a tip that I can tell you, so there are different businesses in different states with the same name. If you want a specific name that is maybe in California, you could use the name ca.com. So it's a California business, or maybe the name of your city, in order for it to differentiate. So trademarks, if you go on the website, you can see patents are for something brand new that doesn't exist. A trademark is also something that's unique that you could trademark. I used to copyright my jewelry designs, and that's pretty inexpensive to do. So the uspto.gov is where you would go and get that research. Anything else?
Yes, another question coming in, Julie, and depending upon obviously the location of this business, but the question is around what insurance companies do you recommend for a service-oriented small business?
Sometimes the trade associations would have it. So I know that, if you're in certain industries, like in the jewelry business, there was an insurance company that insured jewelry stores, and we had to have a certain type of safe. So depending on what your business is, I would go to the trade association, the labor union, and find out which insurance company specializes in that service business. Again, you want the biggest insurance company, you want the highest rated one, because if you have a claim, you want to make sure they pay. And so, do some researching. Of course, talk to 3 or 4 different companies and find out what they do. And make sure you have a relationship with your insurance agent. I have the same insurance agent for 40 years, still in Connecticut doing my insurance. So once you have that relationship, you keep that and get referrals from other people, maybe in your industry. Who do they use? Deanna?
All right. Another question's coming in for you, Julie. Why are franchises easier to receive financing?
Franchises, you can get financing, and the SBA has loans for certain franchises. A franchise is a proven business model. So when I was doing my retail stores that I would go to the hospitals, insurance companies, and we would give them 20% of the sale. We were going to franchise that business model. And it was going to cost at the time, now I sold my business in 1996. At the time, it was going to cost me $25,000 to franchise that business. And I just ended up allowing friends to use the business model. But it is proven. And so banks know that McDonald's never goes out of business. Taco Bell never go, there are certain franchises that don't go out of business. As I said, 87% of all franchises will succeed. I mean, I know someone that has 4 7-Elevens, and he had no business background. He was in real estate, and he just decided to buy a 7-Eleven, and he is doing so well. They support you, they help you with the advertising. There is something to be said with franchises, but sometimes they cost a lot of money. And you have to have good credit to get a loan, and but they train you. And that's the other thing about a franchise. They will train you so that you learn their system and you will be successful. Deanna.
All right, Julie, we have another question coming in as it relates to COVID-19. How has COVID-19 affected the ability to be approved to start a business that is considered non-essential or its industry suffered during the pandemic?
So what's happening with the non-essential businesses, and I can tell you, they are reinventing themselves. So I'll give you a couple of examples. More people are starting businesses now than ever. There was a coffee company that did coffee tastings, and she had a location that people would come in, and during COVID, she decided to put coffee baskets together and deliver the coffee tastings to the customers. So what people are doing is the non-essential businesses are curbside, internet, bundling. There was an esthetician that could not do her facials, so she decided she would sell creams, a cleanser, a day cream, a night cream, and she bundled different packages. She contacted her customers, and she's a thriving business. So again, think outside the box. Think about what people need. You know, you can do subscriptions and you can do memberships. There are personal trainers that are doing online training. There's just a million ways that you can deliver a service virtually that people will pay for. There are even people that say, you know, pay what you can, because I'm telling you, I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. There is a 16% unemployment rate and rising. So people don't have money. We are doing everything for free. We want to help you. We want to help you succeed in business. And so there are many businesses out there that have their paid customers and they do free services as well. So it's always good to give back. Deanna?
All right, we do have another question here around how can I go about setting up credit card processing for my business? Do you want to take that one, Julie?
Well, I can tell you that there are a number of credit card processing companies, and I don't know if Valley Strong, do you have a credit card processing?
We do. We can refer those businesses that need that service out to one of our business partners to assist with that. And they will do a one-on-one visit with the company to make sure they understand their processing needs and to set them up with the best solution possible, depending upon.
One thing I would want to add to that, because when I was in business, again, as we're starting up, that is negotiable. So the credit card processing, you can compare prices with a lot of different companies and you can negotiate the fee. There's a percentage that they take. Deanna.
Yes, very true. One additional question here, I'm a sole proprietor business. Do I still need a business checking account?
Absolutely, more than ever. And the reason why you need a separate business checking account is you want to see if your business is making a profit. So the way it works is this: of course, you are a sole proprietor, it's you. So what you would do is open your checking account and you would loan your business the first $100 to have a business checking account. As you're making sales, you're going to pay yourself back that $100 until your business is self-sufficient. So make sure all your income and all of your expenses come out of that business checking account. And you would be filing a Schedule C so that you can take deductions and again, sit down with your accountant to have it set up. But absolutely every single person needs a separate business checking account. Deanna.
All right, Julie, that was the last question that we have for this evening. At this time, I would like to thank everybody for joining us this evening. We hope you enjoyed the content, that you've left this meeting feeling prepared to start your own business, or at a minimum, enhance what you've already started. After we end this meeting, you'll be presented with a link to take a short survey on today's webinar. This is where you can also ask additional questions. If you feel like the questions that you had was not answered during the presentation, just be sure to include your contact information as well as your email address and along with the question, and we'll make sure we get an answer back to you. I do actually, Julie, have one additional question coming in and then we'll end this session. I'm a sole proprietor. Do I need an EIN number?
So an EIN number is an employer identification number. If you do not have employees, you do not need an EIN number, but an EIN number is free and it is your business identity, so you can get it. It doesn't cost you anything, but it's really used when you have employees. Deanna.
All right. Those are the last questions for us, Julie. So everybody, on behalf of Julie Brander of SCORE and Valley Strong Credit Union, thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you all so much. Be safe and be healthy.